Patreon.com/the Walk-Off Podcast. $4 a month gets you in there.
So this organization has addressed depth. They've addressed handedness. The Blue Jays bullpen, I'm optimistic that this is a better bullpen than we have seen the last couple of years with the Blue Jays. Number one, I do like that stable of high 90s arms that are going to be in Buffalo this year. I mean, between Hagen and Zulu and a few of the other internal options, and they are picking off the scrap heap here and there, some really high velo arms. I mean, those are always a lottery ticket, but there's, like we said, the depth is better. And I'm feeling pretty good for what John Schneider and the coaching staff has as options to come out of the pen. How are you feeling about this bullpen, and is it a finished product in your opinion?
I still think that if the Blue Jays could find their way to another, late game option, that they'd find that, they'd like to make that happen in an ideal world. Uh, I think they're an interesting group, right? Like there is a lot of upside there. Jordan Romano obviously had an all-star season. There's Swanson's going to slot in now. Jimmy Garcia was really good.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Adam Simber into that mix. You created some reliability there. I think there's still maybe a bit of a gap between, and this is not unique to them, but you look at a team like the Astros or whatever, that's still the bullpen you're trying to beat, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's for the majority of baseball. But the depth is there. And if there's another dude who was in the 97, 98 to 100 range back there, I think then it starts looking a lot more like some of the elite bullpens in the game. So the Blue Jays have the opportunity, like, what the Dodgers do is they just kind of take all these talented arms and just kind of keep rolling them out there. And then, you sift through and you hope that one pops in a given year. And they've had great success that way. I think the Blue Jays are trying to do the same thing. And, if someone emerges from that group, and look, like Hagen Danner, I know people who were certain that Danner was going to make an impact last year, and then he ended up getting hurt, and then he
Mm-hmm.
couldn't. So, he's back. Someone I talked to saw him in the AFL, thought he was one of the best arms there. If that pops, that's good. Yasser Zulueta, is he a starter long term? Maybe not, but that's someone who can easily transition into the bullpen. Has got the stuff to play there high end.
Do you think they're going to try
Ryan's
and
velocity.
stretch him out? Do you think they're going to try and stretch him out to start this season, or do you think they're going to roll with him in the pen?
I've heard. I think there's some debate there. I don't know that there's a certainty one way or the other. I think if he's at AAA, you might as well just sort of let him start and keep developing and see what happens, and then you can bring him up to the big leagues and then kind of throw him in the bullpen there. He did a little bit of relief work last season, and that was more controlling work as opposed to, a firm decision to change roles. But I do think there's a school of thought that because of all the time missed, it's going to be hard for him to develop as a starter versus, some people who are just like, let's just see, and maybe it does build up and he can remain durable enough to be a dude who can be in the rotation.
So speaking of the rotation, and everyone has spent, we just talked about this the last couple of years, talking about the need of a left-handed bat. However, you look at this Jays starting rotation now, and with Ryu on the shelf, other than Kikuchi, there is not a left-handed starter. Is that a concern?
I don't think so. I mean, like, it's not like any of the teams in the American League East. And I know the schedule imbalances aren't quite the same, but it's not like there's like a team with all these dominant left-handed hitters in there that, you're like, oh, we'd really need a lefty to kind of neutralize this in an ideal world. Two, I just think get good starters, like especially with starting pitchers. I don't think it's as relevant. Uh, in the bullpen, ideally it wouldn't just be Tim Mesa as sort of your left-handed guy. And I know they have some pitchers who are good against left-handed hitters with reverse splits, things of that nature. Uh, but ideally you could have someone who can really isolate lefties and, would be good, and can kind of hold his own against righties as well. So it's not just Mesa in that spot. That's where I look at that. But I just think from a rotation standpoint, just if you have good dudes, like it doesn't really matter. And again, like it's not like there's a 7 lefty lineup in the division where it's like you could really make a difference for you. Um, for the most part, the lineups are right-handed heavy, or the Rays can match up with you either way, so it doesn't really sort of matter to me.
All right, Shi, we won't keep you any longer. We love talking Blue Jays and baseball with you. Thank you so much for coming back on the show, my man. All the best in 2023, and darn well we'll bug you again down the road to come back on. So thanks again, man.
Yeah, no worries.